What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Noodle Time, episode 176. I am your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co-host, OSG. What's going on, my guy?
What's up, bro? What's up, man? Long time. Haven't been here in a minute, but I'm here, racking up the miles still.
Love the kit, man. Love the kit. Show it off.
There you go. There you go.
The surge. There we go. That's this year's 2026 Surge supporter kit that he is modeling quite well, I might add. What's the mile tracker? Where we at on the miles?
It's over 2,200 now.
2,200 miles.
With a break this weekend. With Dasher not playing and Houston on the road to Colorado. So do have a game to cover though this weekend. I'll be so I will add about 40 miles because I will travel down to Austin to cover Dynamo playing against Austin too on Sunday night. So hey, I will get to add some miles this weekend. I almost forgot about it.
There you go. So it's always good to see OSG representing for the Dynamo against those green fools on the other side of the railroad tracks. But with that being said, man, I wish I could have you here on a happier note, OSG. But I mean, unfortunately for us, I mean, like, you know, the Dynamo have had 5 games this season, 4 of them at home, 2 wins, 2 losses at home. Not the start that we've been looking for. 5 games in, only 6 points on the table. We're, I believe, 10th or 11th place on the table currently in the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, me and Andres talked about it last week against Seattle, that every time we come up against Seattle, it doesn't matter what kind of Seattle team it is, if it's loaded with superstar players or if it's loaded with young kids and up and comers from their academy, they always seem to give us fits, regardless if it's in Seattle or at home at Shell. And that tradition continued this past Saturday. A 1-0 loss, 83rd minute goal by Paul Rathrock, who I happen to mention I despise as a player last week's show. So it was kind of ironic there that he was the one who scored the lone goal to give Seattle 3 points on the road. Your thoughts on the game? Obviously, you know, just kind of showing the difference between a possible playoff contending team in the Dynamo and maybe a possible MLS Cup contender in Seattle.
Well, I mean, hey, overall with the game, I think Houston played a lot better than they've ever played against Seattle. It just, the finishing touch wasn't there. They created the opportunities, had the opportunities, looked good against Seattle. Thought we were going to be able to pull it off, and of course, you know, Seattle gets away with not getting a red card, and you know, of course, we thought, yay, the fortunes will be on our side against this friggin' team. Who we are winless in the last 10, now winless in the last 11. Ben has not beaten Seattle. He's gotten a draw or 2, but has not beaten Seattle. And then Naga was the last 2 before that, before we got the win previously. So it's crazy what our run is against Seattle. But again, this game right here, you know, Gerhemi is him, and he's obviously creating. He didn't have a great game, obviously, but he still was out there creating. Missing McGlynn because he ended up getting hurt during practice, taking a knock. So that was probably a big miss. But I like what we did. We moved the ball. We created. XG was very low, so it was disappointing. It was same thing. You know, we kind of ask on the other side of the starting the dash season is where the goal is going to come from. Can we score? How are we going to score? So it was disappointing to lose 1-0 to friggin' Seattle again.
I was going to ask, can we borrow Kiki?
No.
Yeah, man. It's a bit of a disappointment, right? Because, you know, like where's the offense? You know, I mean, like obviously we recognize the hot start that Guilherme has started in his Dynamo career. And Glenn, you know, with 3 assists to start off the season in 5 games, and all that good stuff. But I mean, where's Borges? You know, Ponce, where's he at? You know,
Well, let's not ask where
It,
Ponce
it,
is
it,
because nobody can actually answer the question. Bogus was okay. He tried to create and did his thing in his position, but Ponce is the biggest absolute zero right now. And we did get 13 shots against Seattle, who I was just looking when you were talking. They don't give up goals. Do they've given up one? What is it? 2 goals this entire season. 3 goals this entire season. 3 goals this entire season. Shit, only 2 in the MLS.
yeah,
They
it's not.
playing
Well, yeah,
CONCACAF
yeah.
champions. So 13
Wait.
shots, and Guilherme had I believe the number total was 9 crosses. I believe. Ponce
Mhm.
had 1 shot. So I thought the solution was more crosses means more finishes. And right now, that's not what it's equating to. Where is Ponce?
Yeah, and I mean the offense just in general overall, man. It's just it's a little bit stagnant, and it sucks because at home is where you expect to see the offensive juices flowing. I don't understand the thought process as far as like like not pressuring, not going after it, especially at home. You know, I get it, when you're on the road of obviously the Dallas game isn't the example to use in this analogy, but obviously when you go on the road, you're going up there, you want to be more defensive, hopefully, play for the tie, and if a possible counterattack happens where you can take advantage of it and score and possibly get the win there. Obviously, that's what you do. But like, I feel like at home is where you should be able to just go do your thing. Let those guys play loosely, and it's just, I don't see it, man. I'm not seeing it. Like I said, you said 13 shots on 13 shots. I don't know how many of those were on goal, but
Three.
even with the 13 shots, I mean, it's not a high percentage on goal. It's basically less than 25%, if my numbers are correct. And that's not a good number of shots on goal, especially for a team at home. And obviously Seattle at this moment has a very strong defense, and their goalkeeping is top notch right now. But again, like I said, I don't know if it's just been given Seattle and Brian and Brian I can't, what's his last name, um the coach, the head
Mercer,
coach.
Metzer or Mercer or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Metzer.
I, I don't know if it's just giving him too much respect because of obviously of the history that he has against Seattle. But I mean, it's one of those things where Seattle has been a huge Achilles heel for the Dynamo, like I said, for the past 5, 6, 7 seasons. You know, and realistically, since their inception to MLS in 2009, I mean, I don't think we've ever had a decent run against Seattle at any point in time
Well, we still
in
haven't
our
won in Seattle.
in our history. So yeah, you mentioned that as well. So I mean, it's just it leads me to think. Obviously, a lot of people will point the fingers at like Ponce. Where's Ponce at? Obviously, I'm more like, hey, where's Bodegas as well? It's we're 5 games in, and you only have the one game winning goal against Portland, which it was a great way to introduce yourself as a Dynamo player. But what have you done for me lately? And especially with the price tag that he came in with. Um, Guillermo, obviously, he's above and beyond what we expected, and obviously, he's the lone bright spot at the moment as far as with everything that's going on right now, and it just comes to me as far as like do I feel that is Benos the right man for this to carry us to the next? Obviously, like I said, I mentioned this in prior shows, and I mentioned this to anybody who will hear me out. I applaud Ben Olsen. I mean, you know what, Ben Olsen, um, behind Dominic Kinnear as the best Dynamo coach. You know, the man led us out of the graveyard that was dug 12 feet deep, not 6 feet deep, 12 feet deep, and won us a trophy. Got the Dynamo back to relevancy, and and we'll always be grateful for that. But is he the coach to take us to the next level? And what I mean by the next level is not only being a consistent playoff contending team, but a MLS Cup contender. fighting for trophies, things of that nature. Is he the right guy? Your thoughts on that, OSG?
Oh, I mean, so is he the answer? I think he already was the answer, and I thought he was brought in to bridge us to the next level. He completed the level that we needed him to get us out of the turmoil. Welcome in, Rashawn, Victor. I'll read it at here in just a second. Yeah, Olsen has no pressure, but it's. I think he's already done what he was supposed to do here, and now he's being held on a little longer. If he does not do anything this season, create anything, get to the nice point that this will be it. But I thought he was brought in to bridge us to the next level to where we could, raise our bar, and that's going for players and types of coaches as well. Ben, I think did his job. Is he the answer to continue here? I don't think so. He had a 10-year at DC, says something. 10 year says something, but you got us
But
the
I mean,
Open Cup in 23 with a crappy roster, somewhat. Look, well, we were also making a good run to in the playoffs. So I just don't know how much further he can get us.
Obviously, I think for me the question is, how long do you let this leash keep going, right? Because obviously last season was terrible. We can all agree to that, right? But does one season mask the two great seasons that we had? The Western Conference final run, a U.S. Open Cup run, and all stuff. Obviously not. He deserved the opportunity to turn that season from last year around with this group. You bring in a lot of new talented players, especially a lot of South American flair. And when I think about like these South American players, especially the Brazilian players that have come in, and what they're capable of, and what Brazilian football is, I can't picture Ben Olsen being at the helm, coaching these guys and letting these guys allowing these guys to show their true potential on the pitch and to show what they really can do.
Victor's right.
Tactically, I just don't see how it fits, and I feel that like I said, it's early in the season, 5 games in. I know sometimes, hey, we're overreacting, blah blah blah. It's early on in the season, but I mean, again, if you can nip it in the butt early and catch what's wrong early, so you can readjust and give yourself plenty of time to, correct whatever is wrong and make a good run towards the playoffs again this season, then you do it right. It's just I don't know how much loyalty there is between the front office and Ben Olsen and the coaching staff. I like I said, I'm grateful for what he did for us, but I don't think he's that coach that's going to take us to the next level.
Right. And it's going to have a lot to do with how this season goes if we know Pat Onstad. Also, if Pat Onstad can control a moment, he's going to plan for this moment to where who the next coach is going to be planned long ahead probably, and it won't be a spur of the moment kind of a thing, because that's how Pat likes to do it. Unless you throw money at him, say, "Hey, I'm taking your player," and he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, that sounds good." But in his own plans, he'll have his own plans. But I think you're right, man. Ben is to his point, but I mean, yeah, and Victor even says he can get more out of the roster, but he won't change tactics. The tactics are the same. You mentioned how you didn't push towards the end of the game at home, down 1-0. You could have tried to tie the game. You could have even tried to tie the game and then win the game, but you didn't look too aggressive. Yeah. It is the the one.
And let me ask you this. I mean, now that we're talking about this game, I mean, bringing in. I mean, obviously our bench is depleted. I mean, we have 2 goalkeepers on the bench.
Right.
That's
another thing Ben will tell you. What would I do?
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, give somebody an opportunity, But with that being said,
Gonzalez was on the bench, but you had other players as well.
With that being said, you got your most experienced player in Ache, and you don't bring him until the 90th minute. I mean, like, what are we doing there? I mean, like honestly, I mean, like you need a spark. You need to bring in somebody who can possibly make something happen. And you have your most experienced guy not come into like basically when the game ends.
I thought
Uh,
Linger was the spark.
no, well, I mean, yeah, well, I mean, but Achi is that, like I said,
No, that was
we've
a joke.
mentioned,
That was sarcasm. But yeah,
yeah,
I thought Ache was coming in with Linger at the 75th minute and kind of surprised. Samaseko did pretty good the entire game, but I thought it was time. Ache is in that role position that we need him to come into and create some offense. And you can't give a player 2 minutes plus extra time to get out there on the field, get warmed up, and create something. It is Ache, but still, players just go out there. You need to give them a little more time. You need, and Linger is selling himself to Ben at practice, admittedly by Ben, to where I'll play anywhere. And so people are asking, why is Linger playing the right wing back? Well, he's at practice playing it, and he's hustling and doing everything Ben tells him to do. And so, I don't know. It's weird, but you have a Liu, but thank God Eric's back now off the red card, so he'll be back. That means Negri can go back to the bench, and you still have Vines coming up, so you'll have more of support on the back line this week with substitutions, and Reese will go back to the bench. And
yeah, but
or,
like I
or,
said, but I just go back to that. I mean, like it's just I don't know what his thought process is. Obviously, like I get. Look, you got to allow your top three out there, and especially with all three of them being DPS, right? They got if you need them to go the full 90, then hey, you let them go the full 90. But like
forgot about the
when
defensive
you have what
substitution at 92.
yeah, when you have no spark coming, you have no distribution, and then you have somebody like I said, Achi, who basically, like we've mentioned, show with week in week out, that he's basically a coach on the field. He's telling these guys where to be at, where to move at, how he wants them to set up so that we can progress. And nothing, man. Like I just I can't understand that. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. You know, obviously the double switch of taking off Nigris and putting in Resch, and then taking off Resch and putting in Vines. I mean, it's like you're subbing a substitute. It's like you know I don't know. So I mean, it's like
Right.
little things like that are frustrating. Um, and obviously, when you lose a game at obviously a 1-0 game where you feel that especially at home, you should be able to make something happen. Especially score at least a goal to get a tie or something like that. But just the opportunity wasn't there. Unfortunately, and obviously, like I said, we go down to Seattle, and we're 10th place actually right now in the Western Conference with Colorado coming up. And the Colorado Rapids and things like that going. This will be our second road game on the schedule for this year. Your thoughts on Colorado, and what do you think we can achieve there?
Well, bonus Colorado is coming off 2 red cards, so their left flank is going to be depleted, which, that's Dwayne Holmes and McGlynn's side. McGlynn should be back, hopefully. So that'll be interesting to see what Colorado does over there. But as far as, Colorado being, much a threat, I don't see them being much a threat, but they're at home. That's their bonus. They get to play at home. They are 3-3. So they decide games or they decide to lose games. We play well. You've been there. We've both been there in that stadium where Sebas
Yeah,
had a goal to get a
fans come out.
draw.
The fans come out
Yeah.
and they support.
Yeah. But where are the goals going to come from? I like the way the offense has been playing. Minus Ponce being able to create his own shots when the ball comes into the box. Even though they'll say he's double teamed. I still feel good about this game and feel good that the Dynamo can come out with a win and come out with a 2-0, 2-1 draw or 2-1 win. And if it's a draw, I just hope it doesn't feel a bad draw. And if it's a loss, oh geez, man, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, same. They're on the same boat as us. 3 wins, three losses. We're 2 wins, 3 losses. We have that game that we missed out with New England because of weather, but you know, obviously the advantage of them playing at home, but they're scoring goals. I mean, you got the younger
Right.
brother of Arison. He has 3 goals to his name. Rafael Navarro has 3 goals to his name, and I believe he has like 3 or 4 assists as well. So he's right there on par as far as being a effective playmaker and goal scorer alongside what Guillermo is doing for us on this side. So, it's always dangerous going up there in Colorado, obviously, because you have the altitude and stuff like that as well. So there's something that the guys got to get used to it as well. But
Yeah,
I
their
mean,
goals come from all over the place.
yeah, I mean, hopefully, McGlynn, if he's available, or somebody can, kick one from outside the box and it'll just curve nasty like Roberto Carlos versus France, and go into the goal because I mean we need the goals and we need to get positive results here, man. Like I said, I don't want to sound like an over anxious fan, and be like, oh man, the season's done, we're only 5 games in, but like it kind of seems like it's just kind of wavering that way. I mean, the disappointment that we had, in the Frisco game after the comeback that we made, in the first half, and then to lose it the way we lost it because of a silly red card from our so-called team of captains. It's funny how when we came into the season, the whole narrative was, dude, we have a team full of captains, you know, but but this team full of captains, they're all getting reds, and that's not very captain like. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to be the optimistic soccer guy. 4 red cards in 4 games. Come in and you're playing Seattle, and this one, the universe doesn't like us against Seattle. So it's a small taste. It's not a good taste, but we'll see with the upcoming matches and see what it continues when the universe is not throwing red cards at us and we get to play 11v11 soccer. And do we come out with wins? Do we come out with draws? Or are we still losing? Are we still not performing on the top half? Is Ponce still being a question mark by
yeah,
everybody? Reddit's
yeah,
exploding, y'all.
yeah. It's an unfortunate thing with Ponce. I've been the biggest Ponce supporter and biggest Ponce backer, but right now at this moment, he's really letting me down. And obviously, I know he's had a couple of nicks and knacks here to start the season, but I mean, it's man, it's becoming a bit disappointing. But like I said, I mean, he's still not really getting the services that he needs. I mean, like you mentioned for the prior game, I mean, I think we said get him across like 9 times, and he was only able to get 2. So I mean, it's still not a high percentage of distribution that 9 like him needs to be able to be effective, I guess. But at some point, man, something needs to click. Something needs to click, and we need to see this ball go behind at the back of the net. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, man. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be and make you seem like I have the highest regards for Colorado Rapids. They're not really a perennial like MLS playoff team. They're kind of up and down. They've been kind of here and there, year in year out. So I mean, but when you have these kind of like pesky clubs, you want to take advantage of that, and obviously, like I said, if you're able to steal points on the road or even get a win on the road, those points are so huge, especially to the morale of the team. Because, like I said, after you lose a game like that at home, to go on the road and be able to pull out a win, it can just turn things around. And then obviously we got another road match after that against Orlando in the MLS Cup play. But obviously that we're getting ahead of ourselves. But we got a little bit of a run of teams here where we can make some noise and move up the chart and move up the table. And it's just whether or not these guys can connect and build some chemistry and make it happen. I don't feel the as far as for as many clips I see, from the social media team of them having a great time in practice and all this having fun and all this good stuff. I just don't see it on the pitch when it comes game time. I don't see the chemistry, the connection, the want to, So
enough excitement to get it done on their own sometimes. But I mean, it has looked better. It has looked different. You're getting more shots out of the team. You're just, against Seattle, you couldn't create ones that were on target. But you had 13 shots against that kind of team. You've had goals in previous games, but then your defense failed you. You've had a red card involved in every game that creates some of those opportunities for the other teams to score those goals as well and put you in situations like that. Again, they're your fault too as well. A couple of those red cards. So man, like I said, if we could just play a normal 11v11 game, yellow cards here and there, and not have to worry about a red card by either side, and we just play damn soccer, and who wins? I still feel confident that we can compete with some of these teams.
yeah.
Can we get to that fourth place and host a home game in the playoffs? I don't know. Let's get into eighth place first, and then we can work our way up to fourth. But like I said, we'll have to see that string. Like you said, we have a road game, a midweek Open Cup game at home, a road game, a midweek home game, and then we play Colorado again to finish off. Well, really to start May off. To start
Yeah,
May.
I mean, not including the U.S. Open Cup game, which we'll talk about here in a bit. I mean, you got Colorado, like I said, is a mid-tier team. You got Orlando, who
We're
I
gonna
don't know,
whoop them.
I don't know what's happened to Orlando. That to me is a mystery. But they're the sorriest team in the league at the moment. So hopefully we can take advantage of that when it comes to that. And then you have Austin, which they're not much better.
Just
Even
got a
with the
2-2 draw when Miami opened their stadium.
yeah. I mean that's something positive they could look forward to. They could look at, but Austin is not from like a huge opponent that we're not able to go up there and defeat and
What?
stuff
Only
like that.
won once. I think in
Well, hey,
Austin.
I mean, you've done it. If you've done it once, you can do it again, right?
Can.
So I mean, so I mean, we'll see what happens, man. But let me get your predictions for this Colorado Rapids game, man.
All right, well, Jeremy's going to get back one on the board, and I think Anali's going to get on the board, and both those goals are going to come from the left side. The commentators and the experts are going to focus the 2 red cards for Colorado on that side. Can the Dynamo take advantage of it? And everybody's going to fall asleep on Gahemi and Anali, and they're just going to get blown away. And 2-0. I want to say the one. I want to say the one because we always give up some kind of goals and keep teams in the games. But Eric does return. I'm missing Halter still, but Eric with Carlos in the middle, Andrade on that other side, and then Dwayne Holmes will get that start. I'm confident with that defense right there. Colorado missing 2 yellow card, 2 red players, 2 starters. So you got to fill those gaps, and then that means your bench might be a little tired and a little lackadaisical like ours. I'm with you. If you call up a Diego Gonzalez and you have a player like that that's at the end of games where you're trying to score a goal and one that can take a rip from outside the box, out of the middle of nowhere, put the kid in and let him play. You brought him up there for a reason. You don't put in that damn defender at the end. But so it'll be interesting to see if Ben can, tactically win the game, or can we just win the game on the field and not put it in Ben's hands?
I find it kind of odd when you say they're gonna sleep on Guillermo and Ali. It's like I think obviously the league has been awakened to the fact that Guillermo is that guy. And what I fear is that um, opponents are gonna clamp that side down and try to shut that side down, and gonna have to which forces Borges on the right and Holmes to pick up
McGlynn.
McGlynn to pick up the slack, and to start
I like
making
it.
stuff and to make stuff happen because at the end of the day, I don't want this Dynamo team to turn into what happened with when Albert Elise was here after Kyoto left, where everybody focused on their lease, and that basically shut down the Dynamo's offense. I don't want. I mean, obviously, I'm happy for all the contribution that Guillermo has provided early on in the season, but it needs to balance out with the right side and Borges, and especially centrally with Ponce. We need to see a little bit more from those 2 guys, especially because they're our 2 highest paid players. So that's what I want to see, man. I want to see contribution from the center, from the right side. I'm gonna go 3-2. I think 3-2 Dynamo sounds pretty good to me. Obviously, like I said, I know we've been talking about the lackluster offense that they showed at home, but I think maybe getting away from home sometimes does the body well, and you can just go run amok on a team who is not as well equipped right now, because like you mentioned, the two players that are suspended due to red cards and things like that. So I'm hoping that the Dynamo can take advantage. So I'm going to go 3-2 Dynamo, and I'm going to say Ponce scores his first goal and Borges brace. So
That's what you've been asking for. So we definitely need the striker. Ponce has to friggin' score, or
yeah,
at least have a great game. And Bogus, that would just set some fans off right there with a brace. So we've been doing well in Colorado in recent form. So back to 2020, to draw, a win back in 2024, and then our last time there we did lose, but looks like good form and not high scoring games. But I like your 3-2, and that means that you found a way to score, and maybe
yeah,
that's a centerpiece to building up and creating something when you do get to come back home.
yeah.
But
Because I believe it starts to become an issue, especially for a number 9. The more games that you go and you don't score, man. It's becoming to the point where if Boston doesn't score this game, I'm for sure starting him against El Paso Locomotive, because I need to see him score some goals. I need him to build his confidence, because he's just not. I feel like he's not confident, man. So if he needs to go against a lower tier club, to see the ball go in the back of the net, and him score some goals like that, cheaply goals or whatever you want to call it, I rather have him do that and play a half against El Paso on Wednesday, and maybe put the ball in the back of the net, so that way he can get some positive into his game, because like, yeah,
I think the more likely scenario would be Ponce would be on the bench. He does not score this game. He'll be on the bench for the Open Cup. Markinich is back this game as well, but Markinich has been a USL terror, and then you're playing a USL team at home in the Open Cup. And he's $8 million. Ben loves Ponce still, so he'll use whatever and say, Ben goes, Ponce goes on the bench, and maybe he comes out late, maybe scores a late penalty kick or whatever. If we frigging need to do that against El Paso for some reason, but not for some reason. There's good reason, but.
So I mean, no, I'm sorry.
My bad. I think Markinich will be your starter, but Ponce has to do something, has to create something for himself, to gain more skepticism louder and louder, to force Ben to do something, because right now he's not going to even flinch.
Yeah, so I mean, so you're going 2-1 Colorado. I'm going 3-2 Dynamo win. So hopefully one of us is correct. That it doesn't matter if either of us is correct.
Both correct, because we win, right?
What matters is if the Dynamo get the W. So let's go Dynamo. Hopefully they come in with the win from Colorado Rapids. But as we mentioned, obviously there is.
Hey, we mentioned there's an Open Cup game coming up when Mark returns.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I accidentally hit something right now. This Wednesday the 15th, we're going against El Paso Locomotive at Shell Stadium. Obviously, a good opportunity to watch the Dynamo midweek. Obviously, this is the only other competition that we will be afforded this season. As I mentioned last week, we did not qualify for Leagues Cup, as we were not a playoff team last season, so we will not be participating in that competition later on in the year. So I mean, obviously the U.S. Open Cup, a tournament that we're familiar with. Have lifted the cup twice in our history. Would be ecstatic to make it a third time if it happens this season. Obviously the end goal is getting that CCC spot, automatic bid into next year's CONCACAF. So and obviously putting more silverware in our trophy case. Eric, OSG. I'm sorry.
Either or,
Your,
it's all right. Whatever.
your thoughts on the game against El Paso? I mean, and obviously the U.S. Open Cup, and how you feel about it, because I mean, I think this Open Cup tournament is important because I mentioned to Andres last week that this is the only opportunity we're going to have to give an extensive amount of minutes to players like Matthew Arana, Agustin Rech, Markinich, and players like that, fringe players who are not getting so many minutes on and on the MLS side of things. So yeah, I think we need to make a nice little deep cup run to allow these other players to gain some experience with the first team, and maybe they can help us later on in the season.
Rashawn said last year we qualified for Copa Tejas. But
Shout out Roshan.
it would be nice for an Open Cup run. And our first match right here, we host this one. We're going to host the next one too, and that's Austin and
Louisville City.
Louisville. And I don't know if Austin's going to get past Louisville. Louisville is a tough cookie themselves. Formidable team in the USL, going to in the playoffs every single year. But El Paso, to start off their year, is unbeaten and has not lost one yet. They've 5 wins and a draw to start off, and 2 of those were in an Open Cup. Were Open Cup to advance. So they're having a great season right now. They're scoring some goals. Let's see, start off the season 2-2. They won 3-0, 2-0, 2-1, 4-0, 3-2. Their last game at home, 3-2. They've won 4 games on the road this season as well to start off their season. So how they do this weekend, which is, also on the road, we'll see how they do when they come into Houston on the road. But they look pretty strong. However, looking at their team, their goals have come from their forward and their left winger per se. They're both 30-year-old players. One is a good productive player, Moreno, I think is his name, and then Ruiz or something like that is the striker that plays for them. Another old cat, but he hasn't been productive very much in his career. So it's where are these goals coming from? So if we can stop the production from those two, then what else has El Paso got? I don't think they have much elsewhere. They do have one other midfielder that looks pretty good, but as far as the 11 side, I think they're just living off of the high life off these 2 guys right now, and I don't know how long it could live, and maybe it'll be till Wednesday night when we stop them and they realize, man, these guys are old.
Sometimes all you need is 2 hot players who can score the ball to carry you through, man. So, so let me ask you this question that I asked Andres last week. Who do you want to see get like a significant amount of minutes out there this Wednesday?
Well, I mean, there could be a handful of players that are on dose that are there, but as far as I want to see Markinich get the start for sure. Diego Gonzalez, one that was just called up. I would love to see him get some minutes, even if you don't start him, because we don't know what Ben's going to do. He might play some of those players. And also a reminder, quick, shameless shout out. Got to interview Diego Gonzalez last week at Houston Sports Park after practice. That is up on Instant Ramen. You know where to find everything at Dynamic Foxtrot. Y'all go listen to it. It's a good 12-minute interview, and it's fun. And I had some surprises for him. And then also, obviously Gillingham or it'll probably be Gillingham will get the Open Cup start, but Cruz, the keeper, if he gets a start, I would not be surprised by that. And then you have a couple of defenders, Daniel Barrett, who's a youngster who I might like to see on the bench, come in and maybe get some minutes. But they're young still, but they're doing very well. And I would like to at least see him on the bench. Arana, of course, will get some minutes as well too, if not a start.
But I guess my question to you more specifically is like, as far as like French players who are like on the match day team but just not getting any run, who do you want to see get minutes so that way maybe they can help us at the end of the regular season? Who can help us along, because at the end of the day, obviously like you mentioned Diego Gonzalez, and you mentioned Matthew Arana, and obviously Markinich, and obviously I do expect those players to play. But I mean, but like, out of like those three or anybody else, if you want to mention somebody else, who do you think benefits from having an opportunity to play these U.S. Open Cup games? And obviously, like I said, the more we're able to make a deeper run, the more opportunities players will have with the first team, and possibly, like I said, maybe open up Olsen's eyes to allowing them to have more meaningful minutes in MLS Cup play.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be from the starting 11, obviously. And the only ones that I can think of that are sitting on the bench that are available is obviously Markinich that we mentioned, but you can Sam Vines, who was the other defender, Reish. I would expect to get a lot more minutes because Ben twice this year in press conferences has said he's here because we need him, not because he earned it. I guess per se is how I took it. That's probably just verbatim with the words, but I mean, I would like to see that kid get more time. And
I mean, if that's, I mean, I haven't heard that myself, so I mean, I'll go based off of what you're saying. But I mean, if he's saying that, I mean, the kid has shown that for the amount of time that he's been given, because obviously, with the suspension of Antonio Carlos, with the suspension of Eric, with the injury to Halter, with obviously Felipe Andrade not being available the first couple of games. Agustin Reach has really been a little bit of a bright side as far as our youth. He grabbed the bull by the horns and he's taking full advantage of his opportunities. Whether they've been 15 minutes here or 20 minutes there, but I haven't seen him play badly with the first team. I think he's been really good, really really sound and solid for being a true rookie.
so, Mark, the context came because two different outlets, one being ours, and somebody else, have both asked Ben a Reese question. We did it previous to the Seattle game on Friday after practice. Asked him about Reese, and that was his answer that he gave back to us. So you can go listen to that on that pregame press conference if you want to hear that segment from him, so you can hear it from him and get your own perspective out of it. But he did it before to another outlet too as well, so it's just kind of funny. But I'm with you too. He has played well. We even called for him to get the call up to the first team, and boom, he got that contract a couple of days later. So it's but as far as anybody else, it's hard to predict with Ben. But those are the players, a couple of defensive players that are sitting on the bench that I would expect to get a start and play the full 90. And then your dose players, but otherwise your starting 11, they're good. They are familiar with the team. Ben's going to be comfortable with them. So maybe somebody like an Andrade who didn't start the season for the first couple of games maybe gets to play some more just because he's probably fit and the man's a friggin' beast. But yeah, other than that, that's it.
He's young too. I mean,
Right.
I mean, 24 years old. I mean, that guy at 24, he should be able to go play as many games as possible that come
He's
available
got
to you.
5 games in 2.5 weeks coming up.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting. Obviously, the thing is, what I want to see, hopefully coming off of win in Colorado, is I want to see a nice little turnaround of the team. Obviously, I want to see Markinich. I want to see him, given the opportunity. Obviously, he had such a great preseason that, unfortunately for him, he's only been given like the little spotty minutes at the end of the games and stuff like that, which hasn't really given him the opportunity to showcase what he has. And then obviously the red card situation, which is being suspended the last 2 games, was put a huge dent into his playing time, right? And then obviously like Matthew Arana, I mean, obviously it was great for his little 15 minutes that he came on, and obviously being the youngest Dynamo debutee of in Dynamo history that's a great feat. But I don't want him just to have that little one moment and that's it. Like if you think he can play, like let him play. Like the thing here is I fear that Olsen and the coaching staff are obviously they're scared of the youth players because they're obviously more accessible to making mistakes, right?
Let's autocorrect real quick. It's Olsen. There's no
Olsen.
There's
What
no
did I
rest
say?
of the coach. There's no rest of the coaching staff. Half of that coaching staff comes from youth. Guerrero come from New Mexico United. Kenny Bundy came from Dose. They're all coming from you. So I guarantee it's just the stubbornness of Ben who.
So okay. So let's say that the stubbornness of Ben of not having the trust in the youth players that you know. Obviously, they're more accessible to making mistakes and things of that nature because obviously, as a young player, you're accessible to those things. But I mean, but then when you don't allow these young players to grow and make those mistakes, you don't get to see the players like Inali. You don't get to see the players like Andrade. Like those two are prime example of when you give young players the opportunity to showcase, they'll showcase. But if you just sit
And
and
a
let them
player like Diego Gonzalez, you only get like 4 chances a year to do those short term loans. So, like, use them, use the
sit.
player.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I mean, it was one of those things where, in the Seattle game, you're losing 1-0. I mean, and Diego Gonzalez is an offensive player, from my understanding, for Dynamo Dos, or a playmaker. So why not give him a shot? You never know. You never know. And just like I said, I think he has to have a little bit more faith into allowing the young players coming in and let them surprise them, man. Like let them go out there and play. You know.
Diego's 23 and the captain for Dose too, so there's a reason why. I mean, he's 23, experienced. He's the captain of the Dose for a reason too, as well. So, yeah, so it's Ben, man. It's just friggin' Ben, and it goes back to your question about Ben earlier. I think we've had enough, not enough of Ben. He's
No,
taken us to the point that we can get out of him.
like I said, I think he's a coach who wants to coach a veteran heavy squad, right? Which is what he has, right? He has a team full of veterans, but you need to allow there to be a process and a road and a pathway for the young players, between Dos and the match day 18 to come in and be allowed and given the opportunity to showcase and maybe show something that you're lacking, especially with how short our bench is right now. Like our bench is really, really short, and the fact is
Markinich comes back as well.
no, yeah, but I
Tavares
mean,
comes back. That puts
but
one back on the
but
bench.
but
So,
but, but, but regardless of the fact, man,
right.
we've been putting two goalkeepers on the bench every game of the season, and I understand red cards, blah blah, blah, suspensions, whatever, this injuries and all that stuff. But I mean, you should never have two goalkeepers on the bench. Like
For
for a
what?
match day,
Right.
for a match day 18, especially when you have a whole second squad, right there in your backyard, fighting to showcase to you that they're ready to move on to the next level and promote and graduate from those. That's just my 2 cents. But let's get to the predictions, man. Obviously, like you mentioned earlier, if the Dynamo win, they will host the next round, the round of 16, against either Austin FC or Louisville City FC. It doesn't matter whichever team wins. The Dynamo will host the next round as well. So in the round 32 against El Paso Locomotive, what is your prediction for the Dynamo this Wednesday, the 15th?
Oh,
Tax day, guys. Tax day, by the way. So make sure you turn in your
oh,
taxes.
that's right. That is right. I remember that because I think that was a promotion, right?
Yeah,
Too.
make sure you turn in your taxes, guys.
Man, 4-2 Houston in one of those crazy, insane kind of games, and we get 2 goals late to finish off El Paso and send everybody home happy. 4-2. Where are the goals going to come from? All over the friggin' place, because I don't know who's going to start and who's going to play to predict who the
Yeah.
goals would come from. But I think we do see things different whenever we play the Open Cup roster style, and it seems to be a little more fluent sometimes for some reason. But so I'm going to go with a 4-2 score line, and it's just going to be one of those games again. El Paso is a good team, like I mentioned, but if we can stop their two highlights over there, then maybe it's not necessarily a 4-2 game.
Chris, get those taxes done, buddy. You don't want those three letters coming after you. Anyways, 4-2. Yeah, I can see it. But I was gonna say more 5-1. I was even gonna go 5-0 Dynamo. Honestly, I think like I said, the players, whichever players get the start or whatever. Like I said, I think for the majority, you'll have your, like, I do expect like Markinich to
Race.
start. I do expect a Linger to get a start as well. Arana would be great. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know why he wasn't on the match day 18 for Seattle, but
You know
uh,
what, Mark? Let's go ahead and start Ache and Arana together.
hey, there you. Hey, why not? Why not? The future of Mexico versus the past with the past of Mexico. So,
For
uh,
this Open Cup game in this role with players around, Ache fits the need right there. I'd be fine with that start.
yeah. So, I mean, I would be happy to see it. Like I said, look, obviously, you mentioned El Paso's doing really good and their campaign in the USL. But I mean, obviously, I feel that the Dynamo should be able to take advantage of this game and steamroll El Paso. And like I said, I think 5-0 would be my initial thought, but I'll go ahead and be kind of nice and say 5-1 Dynamo. Just like I said, I'm looking forward to the ball being placed in the back of the net and maybe some confidence continuing to grow within the squad. Like I said, I hope they win against Colorado. Like I said, I mentioned a 3-2 win against Colorado, and then for them to come back home midweek and win. Win, not just win, but win, convincingly,
Right.
Against a lower tier club, just for, we need the confidence to start skyrocketing. We need these players to start, having that chemistry and just having that belief in each other that no matter what, y'all can go out and win these games because, like I said, the next stretch of games are not that bad. Dude, we can make a nice run in MLS Cup. I mean, in our MLS schedule and in our U.S. Open Cup schedule. I mean, by when May starts, we could be somewhere fighting for sixth, fifth place in the Western Conference, and we could have beaten Austin twice, maybe possibly in the U.S. Open Cup and in at their house at the end of the month. And
Well, funny thing, Mark, isn't that lined up to be? Oh no, so it's San Diego at Austin, and then we would come back to play Austin at home in the Open Cup. So back to back games against Austin if we
yeah,
can win and they
if
can win.
If Austin can get past Louisville, I don't want to disrespect Louisville. I hope Louisville wins. Uh, but like I said, the next couple of games, are really in our favor, and it's just up to the Dynamo to take advantage of it. And like I said, just find the confidence and find the offense, man. Find the offense. I want to see goals, man. I want to see goals galore. And I don't just want to see it from Guillermo. I want to see it from everybody. I want to see Ponce get in the action. I want to see Borges get in the action. I want to see Nali, linger when he comes off the bench. Shit. I want to see it go from Ache Ache. But just we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully next week on Thursday when we come in, we're talking about 2 wins and progressing in the US Open Cup. It's right there for us, man. It's just like I said, I don't know at this point if it's Ben Olsen kind of holding us back or what the deal is, because like I said, I look at the social media. I see the videos. I see the guys having a great time together. I see the guys really enjoying each other's company, hanging out. This and that. So it's great to see the family environment on the practice. But when it comes to match day and on the pitch, I want to see these guys giving their all for each other and making it happen, man. So. Oh, is there anything else
They
that
gotta
you want
find
to add?
that fight, bro. They gotta find that fight and find it
Yeah,
quick.
gotta find that fight. Obviously, if we gotta fight for the crest in the front of our kits. But OSG, is there anything else that you want to add before we get out of here?
So I guess we do a segment on the Dash Dispatch called hashtag No One Asked, and it's a segment for Danny, and she gets to tell us something that because she posts on Instagram all the time, but
Shout out,
something
Danny.
that maybe no one asked that applies to you is Chris wants to know what happened to Barca.
Oh man, hey, look, Atletico they're on a great run right now. I mean, obviously, Atletico is knocked out Barcelona in the Copa del Rey. They're going to the Copa del Rey final. To win 2-0 at Camp Nou is a huge achievement for Cholo and Simeone, and for Cholo Simeone, and obviously Alvarez and Sloreth are great strikers. Atletico Madrid, obviously they're the baby brother of Real Madrid, but I mean, but that team is stacked. That team is stacked. That team is loaded. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go on and win the Copa del Rey final, and if they're able to pass Barcelona. But hey, Barcelona is dangerous. Don't get that foot off the neck, because you know where Barcelona's second home is. It's in Madrid. So Barcelona loves to play in Madrid. So you can win 2-0 in Barcelona, but they can come back right around and win 5-0 in Madrid, and what happens? But yeah, man, great game, great Champions League. I mean, obviously, I love the Champions League. It's one of the greatest tournaments in soccer today. But appreciate the question, Chris. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate the support. OSG, let the people know where they can find us, man.
At Dynamic Foxtrot across all platforms, any platform. Foxtrot TV is where you're watching right now. If you're live with us on YouTube, if you're listening, you're going to be elsewhere on every other platform. Your favorite place where your podcasts are, you can hear us, you can see us. And at Dynamic Foxtrot, it goes across social medias as well. All of them, whatever you're on, go ahead. Try at Dynamic Foxtrot. They're live and they're action. You can see them during the game. And then I also want to remind people that the Foxtrot POV, when we're at the games, at the Dynamo games and the Dash games, and those games that we attend, we give you a POV of Foxtrot. We bring you our reactions of the game, the highlights, and then the press conference, and any players we get off to the side. So y'all go check those out on Foxtrot TV. But at Dynamic Foxtrot, Mark, I think people have heard it 1,000 times now. But at Dynamic Foxtrot.
For sure. I mean, let them hear it 1,000 more, guys. I would just want to remind all of you guys, and obviously shout out to Chris, Victor, Giuseppe, Roshan for keeping the chat live and hype. Today's show, man, we appreciate the support and love and all that good stuff. But we're only a few subscribers away from 400, guys. Grab your sister's phone, grab your auntie's phone, your mom, your mama, your daddy, or whoever, and just subscribe for them, man, guys. Once we get to 400, we want to do a little special giveaway with some autos from some legends and other stuff, some other goodies that I have as well to give out to you guys. So obviously, once we cross that 400 milestone, well, I'll explain to you how you can enter to win those giveaways, those giveaways and things like that. So hopefully we can get this done, and maybe next week we're announcing how we're gonna give away these autos and these memorabilia things. So, but with that being said, guys,
speaking of giveaways, Mark, we give away 2 tickets every home game for the Dash.
For sure.
So make sure y'all listen to the Dash Dispatch if y'all want to go catch a game out there. Mark, you want to see Kiki in action? Enter the sweepstakes.
I do, man. Hey, guys, and for sure, speaking of the Dashes, I do have the host of Dash Dispatch, man. Go support those girls, man. Those girls are doing great. The best start in franchise history, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is.
So, I mean, that's something good for them. Obviously, we have. Am I right? The Dash haven't made the playoffs yet in their history, right?
No, they made it once and they lost 1-0. They had that sellout game against Kansas City.
Okay.
Late 1-0.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously we need to redeem for that. So hopefully this season they can make a nice little run into the playoffs and maybe have a special season. Who knows? Chris asked me in the chat, who's winning Ballon d'Or? Man, this is man. Right now, I mean, it looks like right now the favorite is Lamine Yamal, but obviously we'll see what happens with Barcelona, and then obviously what happens with Spain in the World Cup. But I think he's the favorite at this moment. But we'll see, man. This is a World Cup year. We know when it's a World Cup year, the Ballon d'Or usually kind of focuses more on the World Cup winning team than the club team. So we'll see what happens. But great question, man. It's
real quick while you have 30 seconds. So Two big ones is what's his friggin' face, Griezmann. So I'm pretty sure y'all talked about it already. I wanted to
Okay.
hear your quick opinion on it, and then I have another one.
Yeah, man, for Orlando, I mean, obviously Orlando aren't having the start that they kind of expected. Obviously Orlando's one of those great Eastern Conference teams. They lifted the U.S. Open Cup a couple of years back, but I think it's great for the league. I mean, Antonio Griezmann, I think he's one of those players that is going to bring a special flair to the game here in America. And what I love about it most is he's made it known he wants to come play MLS and he wants to come play at a high level. So that's what you want to see. I mean, you don't, obviously early on, when we were bringing in big names, we were like, who's going to come play for real? Who's going to make this into just like a retirement league or just come get a check or whatever. But Griezmann is coming for sure to play, and it's going to be a boost for Orlando, and I can't wait to see him. And hopefully, I'm a huge Griezmann fan. I love Griezmann. He's a great player.
All right, and then the other one, I think Guilherme's got to get back on the phone, but I think Neymar is teasing us. Really
Ah,
not Neymar, but
I saw this. I
Bogart is
saw
teasing
this.
us with Cincinnati. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed that Neymar is just going to slide on into Houston. But what are your thoughts on that? Finally,
Ah, man, I
an
was.
actual rumor, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, shout out to Cincinnati. I mean, not too long ago, Cincinnati was a joke in the league. Winning like back to back to back wooden spoons. And then all of a sudden, they make smart decisions as far as bringing in players, and they turned the whole thing around. I think the one of those players at first was Lucho Acosta. And then they changed that, they switched that to Evander, and now they're bigger and better and doing great things, and they're a powerhouse in the Eastern Conference as well. Obviously, I would love to see Neymar in orange, preferably our orange, not Cincinnati's orange. I think Neymar will prefer the Texas barbecue down here in Houston than the whatever chili crap that they have up there in Cincinnati. So, but obviously, like I said, um, this year, I mean, this off season, especially because we have that shortened season coming up next year, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of world class players are going to come into MLS after the World Cup ends, and they're made available. And I just hope, like I said, I hope that the Dynamo are linked to somebody, because I mean, like I said, we need that face of the franchise. We need that player that's going to bring in international crowd to our stadium, to bring that extra attention. I mean, like Griezmann, like we just spoke about, is going to bring a bigger profile to Orlando City. I mean, they did Orlando City. Obviously, we know because when they brought in Kaká, when they brought in Nani, they've done their thing. They've made these moves. They brought in superstars. You know, I want the Dynamo to follow along in that. And hopefully somebody gets linked to us of renowned football royalty. So who knows? We'll
Well,
see.
I
We'll
think
see.
this, since you mentioned, I think this summer is going to be big to see the direction that Pat is actually going and what kind of players he can bring
Huge,
in, and
huge,
then
huge.
where we go. But man, it's going to be huge.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I like, and I know we're getting a little over here, but I I honestly feel that this offseason, this summer transfer window is going to be a huge transfer window for the MLS and as a league. I mean, like not just Griezmann, but players like Lewandowski, players like maybe Bernardo Silva, players like Raúl Jimenez. Just the list is just like just long of players who can come in and just lift the club up. But we'll see. Like I said, I just hope that the Dynamo are a part of it, and we get that player that can really transcend the franchise and help us move forward into maybe becoming an MLS Cup contender. So we'll see.
Victor,
But with that,
where's that check from the sale of the Houston Dash going to go? Victor asking, are the Dynamo, is Ted Siegel willing to spend enough money to bring in a player like Neymar? That is a big
man,
question as well too, and we don't know, but that is the question that we've been
but
asking, and that's why
but
we're going to see what this summer
but
really
think, but, think,
entails.
but think about it. If LAFC was willing to spend 20 something million for a human son who he's been a great player, but he's on the wrong side of 30, right? And the amount of money that they've made not only from the Asian market, but because he's the best Asian player at this moment, is paid back. I mean, look, Neymar is a global superstar. Neymar is Cher. Like you hear Neymar, everybody knows who that is, regardless if you know soccer or you don't. You know the name Neymar. When you have that kind of recognition and you have that opportunity to bring a player of that caliber in, I think you have to do whatever it takes to bring him in, because not only are you going to benefit from his public image and likeness, but from his followers, his brand, the style of play that he plays, and just everything around that. I mean, dude, you don't think the Dynamo would be would make money going to Brazil? Having friendlies against Brazilian powerhouses because Neymar's on the team, Guilherme's on the team. We got Halter, we got Arthur. We basically half the team is Brazilian. So I mean,
He fits.
You don't think they can have a little preseason tour, a la Inter Miami? You go to Brazil and make a couple dollars playing these powerhouse teams. I mean, dude. I mean, it's just I don't understand where the logic isn't there. To, hey, if I bring in this caliber player, I can use him to make money back by the sale of jerseys. When's the last time we had a top 10 player in jersey sales? I don't know. Not even Hector did it. So I mean, it'd be great. I'm sure Neymar would be top 5 easily, if not top 2 or top 1.
But I'm not worried about all those other intangibles that come with it. Does the player still play for the team and still fit with the team? Absolutely. Then all that rest of it's going to come with it, and that'll be huge.
Sure.
And Chris keeps bringing up there's no room. By the time Neymar does come here, hopefully, we'll be done with Ben, a new coach, and we'll get a new formation, and we'll get to actually see some different styles of soccer, and maybe it'll work out better. But they'll find a place, and they'll put, and they'll deal with it. But also announced real quick before you hang up on us all, and the Dynamo look like they'll be hosting World Cup friendlies during the World Cup. And I call it World Cup friendlies because is it the Dynamo versus Curacao or whoever the hell that did not make the World Cup tournament? Are we inviting in an international team and playing an international team, at Shell Energy Stadium during the World Cup while we're taking a break, 1 or 2 games, or what were they hinting at? What are they bringing in? I'm curious to see, but that'll be fun too as well, and that'll just bring some more eyes onto the market, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep these players in shape during that long layoff. I mean, it's going to be 5 weeks.
Yeah, but you're not playing the San Antonio Scorpions no more. You're playing maybe a team like Honduras, who was just announced to play Argentina at A&M. Maybe it's a team like that or El Salvador that'll come up and that's familiar with. Bring Italy in. That's a great one. Bring Italy in. They're not doing nothing.
I would love to see the Dynamo versus Italy.
That would be fun.
But with that being said, guys, hey, we appreciate the support again. Like I said, we're looking forward to hopefully coming back next week with a bigger smile on our faces, talking about wins in the MLS schedule and the U.S. Open Cup round of 32. Like I said, thank you for the support again, guys. And like I said, we're a couple of subscriber away from 400. So hopefully next week we can announce the giveaway once we hit that 400 milestone. So with that being said, guys, whether we're up or down, we're always going to hold it down for H-Town. Go Dynamo. Go Dash, go Dynados. Shout out to the Surge, beautiful kit. Shout out to OSG,
Dynamo Tailgates with the Surge.
Dynamo Tailgates. I think there's a viewing party at the Phoenix this Saturday for the Colorado Rapids game. And obviously,
I don't think it's the Phoenix, but you might be right, but whatever.
Yeah, and obviously, let's be there Wednesday. Support those guys on for the U.S. Open Cup.
Thank you.
Hold it down. Stay noodles.